start of narration. War is often remembered for its grand battles, its clashing armies, and its world-changing outcomes. But what happens when we zoom in? When we look past the headlines and the history books, we find stories of individual courage that redefine what it means to be a hero. Stories where the greatest victory isn't about defeating an enemy, but about saving a single, innocent life. Today, we're telling one of those stories. A story about a pilot, his battered plane, and a split-second decision that put humanity above all else. This isn't just a tale of aerial combat. It's a testament to the human spirit in the darkest of times. It's the story of a man who, faced with the choice between his own survival and the lives of strangers, chose compassion. He was just one pilot among thousands, flying through skies thick with danger, where every cloud could hide an enemy and every moment could be your last. But on one fateful day, his mission changed. It was no longer about strategy or targets. It became about a promise he made to himself to protect the innocent, no matter the cost. Imagine the scene. It's the height of World War II. The air is a chaotic ballet of roaring engines and rattling machine guns. Our pilot, let's call him Alex, is returning from a grueling mission. His plane is a mess, riddled with bullet holes, one engine sputtering black smoke, the controls feeling heavy and unresponsive. His training, his instincts, everything is screaming at him to get back to base, to save himself and his precious aircraft. The nearest friendly territory is miles away, a desperate stretch across a hostile landscape. Below him, the war rages on the ground. Villages that were once peaceful homes are now battlefields. Through a break in the clouds, Alex spots something that makes his heart stop. It's not a military convoy or an enemy encampment. It's a small group of civilians, men, women, and children caught in the crossfire. They're trapped, pinned down by advancing enemy soldiers, with nowhere to run. For them, it's a death sentence. From the cockpit, thousands of feet in the air, Alex is their only witness. He could fly on, no one would blame him. His plane is barely holding together. Landing here, in the middle of enemy territory, is suicide. His radio is crackling with static. His fuel gauge is dipping dangerously low. Every logical part of his brain is telling him to keep going, to save himself. But his conscience tells him something else. He sees the terror on their faces, even from this distance. He sees children clinging to their parents. And in that moment, he's not just a soldier. He's a human being. What do you do when your orders are to survive, but your heart commands you to save? This is the core of our story. Alex makes a decision that defies all military protocol. He banks his wounded plane, the protesting groans of stressed metal filling the cockpit. He's going down, not because he's been shot down, but because he's choosing to land. He's choosing to descend into the heart of danger, with no guarantee of survival, all for a group of strangers. As he begins his descent, the risks become terrifyingly real. The ground is uneven, littered with the debris of battle. Enemy soldiers on the ground see his plane coming down. They don't know his intent. To them, he's just another target. The air around him erupts with gunfire. Tracers zip past his canopy like angry hornets. He's flying a damaged, heavy bomber, not a nimble fighter. It was never designed to land on a makeshift field under enemy fire. With incredible skill and a prayer on his lips, Alex wrestles with the controls. He's looking for any patch of land flat enough and long enough to land his crippled bird. He spots a small pasture, barely a clearing, nestled between a forest and a burning farmhouse. It's impossibly short. A textbook landing is out of the question. This will be a controlled crash, at best. But it's their only chance. The civilians on the ground watch in a mixture of terror and disbelief. Is this plane coming to attack them, or is it something else? As the plane skids to a screeching, violent halt just yards from where they are hiding, the side door is thrown open. Alex, his face grim with determination, yells at them, waving them towards the aircraft. Get in, now. Go, go, go. There's no time for explanations. The sounds of enemy shouts and gunfire are getting closer. Panic and hope collide as the small group scrambles towards the plane. Parents push their children inside, tumbling into the cramped fuselage. It's chaos, it's desperation. And in the middle of it all stands Alex, providing cover with his sidearm, urging them on, his eyes constantly scanning the tree line for enemy movement. He knows they have seconds, not minutes. Once everyone is crammed inside, a feat in itself, Alex slams the door shut. Now comes the hardest part. Taking off. The field that was barely long enough to land is definitely not long enough for a standard takeoff, especially with the extra weight of his new passengers. The plane is damaged, overloaded, and sitting in the middle of a war zone. Pushing the throttles to their absolute limit, the remaining engines scream in protest. The plane shudders and groans as it claws its way across the short field. It feels agonizingly slow. The trees at the end of the pasture are rushing towards them. It seems impossible. They're not going to make it. The civilians inside are holding their breath, bracing for another crash. But with a final lurch, born of sheer willpower and a bit of luck, the plane lifts off the ground. The landing gear clips the tops of the trees, sending a shower of leaves and branches flying. But they are airborne. They are flying. Looking back, Alex sees the enemy soldiers emerging from the woods, firing helplessly at the ascending plane. They had escaped. The journey back to base is tense. The plane is barely flyable, and inside, there is a stunned silence. The families he rescued huddle together, their eyes filled with a gratitude that words could never express. They don't know his name. They only know that this man, this stranger from the sky, risked everything for them. When he finally lands at his home base, the ground crew is shocked. First, by the state of his plane, which looks like it flew through a cheese grater. And second, by the unexpected passengers who emerge, dazed but safe. Alex's commanding officer is furious at the breach of protocol, at the unbelievable risk he took. But how can you punish a man for an act of such profound humanity? Alex's story was quietly documented, a footnote in the grand, chaotic history of the war. He wasn't given a medal for this specific act. It wasn't a strategic victory. But what he did that day was, in its own way, one of the most important missions of the entire war. He proved that even in the midst of conflict, our shared humanity can be the most powerful weapon we have. He didn't just fight a war. He protected a piece of what everyone was fighting for. These are the stories that matter. They remind us that history is made by people, not by machines or ideologies. It's made in the split-second decisions in a cockpit, in the choice to help a stranger, in the unwavering belief that every life is worth saving. These acts of moral bravery are the true legacy of any conflict. Thank you so much for joining us for this incredible story. If you were moved by this pilot's courage, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more true stories that explore the human side of war. Let us know in the comments what you think about his decision. Was he a hero or reckless? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, stay safe and remember the courage found in compassion.